You're still live on Joy News. This is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. We want to cross over to Parliament for the latest ruling by the Speaker.
Contest the upcoming 2024 parliamentary elections as an independent candidate. And D, Honorable Cynthia Mamile Morrison, Member of Parliament for Aguna West, who was elected on the ticket of the MPP, had filed with the Electoral Commission to contest the upcoming 2024 parliamentary elections as an independent candidate. In the light of these developments, the Honorable Minority Leader invited the Speaker to declare the seats of these 4 members vacant in accordance with Article 97(1)(g) and 97(1)(h) of the Constitution 1992. According to his submission, if these seats are declared vacant, the resultant effect on the composition of this House would be that the NDC would have 136 seats, while the MPP would have 135 seats, thus making the NDC the majority party in Parliament. This statement sparked intense debate in the House, with members raising questions of constitutional interpretation and the role of the Speaker in the enforcement of Article 97 of the Constitution, particularly in the matter of the vacation of seats by members of Parliament. It is therefore incumbent upon me, as Speaker of this House, to address these issues thoroughly. In doing so, I am simply applying the provisions of the Constitution 1992, Parliamentary Act 1965, Act 300, the Standing Orders of Parliament 2024, precedents, and established legal principles. The issue of interpretation and enforcement of the Constitution lies in the bosom of the Supreme Court and not that of the Speaker. And so I proceed to tell you my understanding of Article 97. Honorable members, at the core of the Minority Leader's statement are the provisions of Article 97(1) of the Constitution of Ghana, 1992, which govern the circumstances under which a member of Parliament shall vacate his or her seat in Parliament. The relevant subclauses of the provision read as follows. Article 91 states, a member of Parliament shall vacate his seat in Parliament. G, if he leaves the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member. Or H, if he was elected a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party, unquote. Honorable members, my humble view is that Article 97(1)(g) and H operate to prevent what the old school refers to as cross-carpeting or carpet crossing, as witnessed in the early legislative councils and parliaments of the Gold Coast and the Republic of Ghana, respectively. Cross-carpeting is now part of what is referred to as defection or party switching, when a member of Parliament who was elected on the ticket of one political party leaves that party to join another, or when an independent member of Parliament joins a political party after being elected as an independent member, or a party member acts similarly. The concept of defection raises significant concerns about the integrity of political representation. When voters elect a candidate, they do so based not only on the individual's personal qualities, but also on the political party platform they represent. Party switching or defection, therefore, can be seen as a breach of the mandate and social contract between the Member of Parliament and the electorate, as it changes the political dynamics that the voters originally endorsed. The prohibition of defection, as reflected in Article 97(1)(g) and (h), serves several critical purposes in maintaining the integrity of Parliament, parliamentarians, and protecting the trust and will of the people. The provisions of Article 97(1)(g) and (h) are designed to safeguard the principles of party loyalty, voter representation, and political stability. Defection is prohibited because it undermines the trust placed in members of Parliament by their constituents and can lead to instability in Parliament. These constitutional safeguards ensure that members of Parliament remain accountable to both their parties and the electorate, and they prevent members of Parliament from engaging in behavior that could amount to fraud or disruptive of the functioning of Parliament. Honorable members, it has been suggested by some members that the provisions of Article 97(1)(g) and (h), which address the vacating of a Member of Parliament seat due to defection, should be understood prospectively. That is, they should apply only to future parliaments and not to the term of office of Parliament when the act occurs. While this argument may appear to offer a practical approach, it must be firmly dismissed as both untenable and inconsistent with the constitutional purpose of these provisions. One may ask, what is Article 97 purposed to do? The clear intent of Article 97(1)(g) and (h), to my understanding, is to preserve party loyalty, engender trust, and protect the mandate of the voter and representation throughout the MP's term of office. These provisions are designed to prevent political instability, as I stated, opportunistic behavior, fraudulent representations, and disruption of parliamentary composition during the term of a parliament, by ensuring that members of Parliament remain faithful to the mandate given to them by the electorate at the time of their election. To understand these provisions as only applying prospectively, meaning that they will take effect only in future parliaments, will nullify the purpose of Article 97. The provisions of Article 97 and the consideration are intended to address breaches of party loyalty and independent status as they occur during a term, ensuring that the House's composition remains consistent with the electoral outcomes. If Article 97(1)(g) and (h) were to apply only in future parliaments, it will render these provisions effectively superfluous. By the time the next parliament is constituted, any member of Parliament who has defected or swayed political allegiance during the current parliament will no longer be in violation of the provision. They will start the next term aligned with their new party or as an independent. There will exist no defection, and the violation will effectively be wiped clean at the start of the term of the succeeding parliament. If the understanding of the provisions was futuristic, members of Parliament could freely switch parties or become independent during the term of a parliament and pretend to be representing the interests of the people who elected him or her or the party on whose platform he or she rode to Parliament, while paying loyalty to a different party or group of people with no immediate consequences. This is precisely what Article 97(1)(g) and (h) are meant to prevent. The provisions exist to curb, as I stated, defection, as it happens, not to offer a free pass to members of parliament to change allegiance during their term and only face no consequences, even in future electoral cycles. Under Article 97 of the Constitution of Ghana, there are indeed different modes through which a member of parliament shall vacate his or her seat, and these can be broadly categorized into two groups. The A is the one that we refer to as automatic or procedural, and the B is a matter of determination of fact. Certain modes of vacating a seat happen automatically or procedurally, either through the direct operation of law or institutional processes. These are relatively straightforward and do not require external determination of facts. For example, the dissolution of parliament, the election as speaker, the expulsion for contempt, and resignation of a member of parliament. The second category deals with others where you require determination of facts. And those are the other provisions identified in Articles 97(1), C, E, and D. These involve more complex factual situations that are less clear-cut and may be subject to dispute, making them matters that likely require determination to ascertain whether a vacancy has occurred. Honorable members, it is important to note that the determination of whether a member of parliament has resigned from their political party or has joined another party is a matter of fact. In 2020, during the tenure of Right Honorable Professor Aaron Michael Quay as Speaker of Parliament, a notable instance occurred when the New Patriotic Party notified the Speaker that the Member of Parliament for Formina, Honorable Andrews Asiema Amwako, was no longer a member of the party. The MPP requested that the seat be declared vacant in accordance with Article 97(1) of the Constitution, citing that the Member of Parliament had filed to contest the upcoming elections as an independent candidate, which violated the party's constitution. In response to this request and notification, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Michael Quay proceeded to declare the seat vacant. However, I must emphasize that this ruling made by the previous speaker does not bind other speakers, including myself. It is important to point out that in the present matter before the House, the notice of poll is available at the Electoral Commission on all the 275 constituencies. I have duly taken note of the notice of the poll, and furthermore, no member in making comments to the statement made to the House by the minority leader denies these glaring and notorious facts. And so, what is my role in all this? Honorable members, it is important to point out that the Speaker is called upon by the standing orders of Parliament, particularly Order 18, to inform the House of the occurrence of a vacancy of the seat of a member under Clause 1, B to E, G, and H of Article 97 of the Constitution. Accordingly, I proceed to inform the House that by the notification of the polls, the following members of Parliament have by their actions vacated their seats in Parliament. The members are Honorable Peter Yao Kwache Aka, NDC MP for Amenfi Central in the Western region, now referred to as an independent parliamentary candidate for the same constituency. 2, Honorable Andrew Amwako Asiama, independent member for Fomna constituency in Ashanti region, now referred to as MPP parliamentary candidate for the constituency. 3, Honorable Kojo Asante, MPP MP for Suhum in the Eastern region, now referred to as independent candidate for the same constituency. And finally, Honorable Cynthia Mamile Morrison, MPP MP for Agona West constituency in the Central region, now referred to as independent candidate for the same constituency. These MPs cannot be allowed by law and my good self to continue to pretend to be representing people that they don't believe in and they don't have any loyalty for in this House any longer. The House is accordingly so informed. Honorable members, I thank you for your patience and attention. Honorable members, please. Honorable members, may we have some order in the House? Honorable members, this is my response to what happened 2 days ago. And I don't think this is subject to debate. It's a communication to the House, and by our standing orders, it's information I have to give you, and I've done so according to my understanding of the law. Please, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I thank you for the opportunity to make comments on the communication you have just delivered to the House.
May you kindly refer to the standing orders that you are coming under.
Mr. Speaker, I do not come under any standing orders.
So you may resume your seat then.
Mr. Speaker, you are the father of this House. And Mr. Speaker, you have communicated to the House a position you've taken. It's been our practice that any time you have come out with a formal communication, you give opportunity to leadership to make a response. Mr. Speaker, if today you do not want me to talk, Mr. Speaker, that should be it. But Mr. Speaker, if you say that...
Honorable member, you got it wrong. It's not the practice of the House that anytime I come with a formal communication, I allow members to make comments. That's not the practice of the House. It's never been the practice of any of the houses that I have been member from 1993 to date. I have not had that as any practice of the House. Some speakers, including myself, may entertain some comments from members, but it is not a practice of the House.
Mr. Speaker, if it pleases you, I would like to make some few comments on the matters you've raised, because, Mr. Speaker, these are very grave matters. The matters you've raised are not light matters. They are very grave matters that I would want to comment. And, Mr. Speaker,
so please, you want to seek my leave to make comments?
That is so, respectfully.
Now you agree it's not the practice,
Mr.
but
Speaker,
you are just seeking my leave.
Mr. Speaker, as it pleases you, with your leave. With your leave.
Well, yes, you may do so.
Mr. Speaker, thank you once again for the leave granted me to comment on your communication you just delivered. Mr. Speaker, you underscored your submissions with a very important point, that the matter that came before us has interpretation reliefs, and that you do not have the power to interpret the Constitution, and that your duty is to enforce. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable member, you are not listening to me.
Mr. Speaker, may I finish with respect?
All what you said are wrong, so I cannot continue to allow you to keep on misleading the House.
Mr. Speaker, please, if you think that this is your house and you didn't want us to talk, so Mr. Speaker, we should allow you to
Honorable
speak.
Majority Leader, you are addressing the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I need your protection. They must stop what they are doing.
I'm in charge.
Mr. Speaker, then they may be quiet.
Please.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, in your ruling, my understanding was to the effect that your duty is not to interpret the Constitution. My understanding was to the effect that your duty is not to interpret the Constitution. But, Mr. Speaker, it is important for me to emphasize one more time that when the statement was made by my respected colleague, Dr. Kesil Atufosin, I did draw the attention of the House, including your good self, to the effect that the matter being a very grave matter, I have taken it upon myself to seek the court's interpretation of the matter. Mr. Speaker, indeed. Mr. Speaker, I think
Honorable members, please,
Mr. Speaker,
let's listen to each other.
I deserve some respect.
Let's listen to each other.
No, I think it is only fair.
Honorable Majority Leader, please address me. I'm taking care of that. Please, let's listen to each other.
I did indicate that I have filed a process at the Supreme Court. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, the bailiff of the court had attempted to serve the process on the Director of Legal Affairs, and the Director of Legal Affairs and the entire legal directorate refused service because, according to them, there was a circular stating that they can only be served on Mondays. I saw the circular myself. Subsequent to that, I, as hearing the intention of Mr. Speaker to come to a determination in one way or the other, directed service, which is within my rights. Mr. Speaker, yesterday, Parliament was duly served.
Honorable member, please, I didn't want to interrupt you, but you are the majority leader and the leader of this House. as at the time you were directing service yourself, you took the trouble of coming to Parliament with 2 persons who are alleged to be bailiffs and went to the legal office to yourself, directing officials of the legal office to receive the service. You are a member of Parliament. I am the Speaker. It is my duty to protect your privileges and immunities. In doing so, I had a discussion with the Chief Justice, and we came to an understanding that in the meantime, the Chief Justice issued a directive as to how service of members of Parliament, some officers of Parliament, and the Speaker could be effected. I communicated this to the House and discussed it with you, the leaders. We said that as we go along, we will together, Parliament and the judiciary, particularly led by the Supreme Court, come out with a legislation on this issue of privileges and immunities of Parliament, members of Parliament, and specified officials of Parliament. We discussed this. Based on this discussion, the Chief Justice issued a directive to all registries of courts in the country. And it is stated clearly there that the Speaker can be served on Mondays during working hours. There were reasons why we came to those agreements. You are aware of it. Yet you kept on insisting that service be effected whilst the Speaker was presiding over the proceedings of the House. You, as leader of the House, as majority leader, you are saying that this was service because you threw the court processes on the table and walked away? Is that how you effect service? Please, to quote the common parlance, don't go there.
With respect, for the past 12 years, I have accorded you every respect, and I'll continue to do that no matter. Mr. Speaker, the facts you put out are not true. Mr. Speaker, these are credibility issues, so I will respond for the record. Mr. Speaker, somebody has told you something. Mr. Speaker, you reserve the right to be there to make your point. Let me make my point too. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker, no way. Mr. Speaker, whoever told you, Mr. Speaker, whoever told you that I threw a paper at somebody, this has to do with my credibility. I will not allow hands.
Honorable member, you don't listen at all.
Mr. Speaker, I do.
I never said
Mr.
you.
Speaker, you said
I never said you threw a paper at anybody.
Mr. Speaker,
I never said that.
That's exactly what you said. Let the answer check it. Mr. Speaker, that is what you said.
You are being carried away by your anger. You are not listening.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not angry.
Honorable member. Honorable member.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not angry.
I said the court process was thrown on the table in the office. I never stated it was thrown by you at any person.
Mr. Speaker, you said I allegedly said some bailiffs. Alleged bailiffs.
No.
Mr. Speaker, then clarify.
Please.
Mr. Speaker, with
listen
respect,
to me.
Mr. Speaker, I'm listening.
Honorable Majority Leader, I don't want to proceed to make some orders. Please, resume your seat. I'm very serious about that.
Mr. Speaker.
Please, resume your seat. Honorable member, your
Coming events cast their shadows. We have Parliament now, elect with the executive.
The Parliament House, where in a very unprecedented ruling, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has, through his ruling, turned effectively the majority side into the minority. Let's take you back to the House now and listen to the Speaker.
Minority Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker. The Speaker, first, let me start by expressing our profound gratitude for your erudite ruling on this very important matter of national interest. The Speaker, you have indeed done what is right for the people of Ghana by sticking to the tenet of Ghana's Constitution, our standing order, and time-tested precedents, being a case law for this House. The Speaker, permit me to congratulate the NDC Majority Caucus for standing firm from day one. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, just a moment. I can see a cluster of some members at one corner of the chamber. Please, honorable members, either you resume your seats or you move out of the chamber of Parliament. Please, honorable members, can you hear me? Please, Marshal, kindly perform your duty.
This is still Joy News, and you're watching the live coverage from the Parliament House. We're live on Joy News, but it is actually 5:37. This is, a live transmission, also live on radio on Joy 99.7 FM. We're bringing you this because today the Speaker of Parliament has just declared 4 seats in the House as vacant. Now, we'll try and break things down for you. I'm here with Head of Political Desk here at Joy News, Evans Mensah, to help you make sense of what is exactly happening. We understand that the MPP side of the House have just walked out. We'll bring you details from what's happening in Parliament. Now, do stay with us. But Evans, grateful for joining us. So, what does this ruling effectively mean?
And this is seminal. This is unprecedented. This is historic. I mean, you can't find the words to describe them. But I see that Case Lato Forcing is back on his feet. We can go back and listen.
See, Majority Caucus. The Speaker, from day one, we have not reneged on our responsibilities to work for the people of Ghana. Today is the beginning of the process to reset Ghana. The Speaker, our country has gone through a lot. We have always made our point, but unfortunately we've not been able to succeed because we were not having the working majority. But now we have the working majority. Right, Honorable Speaker,
beginning the next parliamentary sitting, we'll begin the process to take over as the majority caucus of this parliament. And we thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, we have taken note of the fact that our colleagues, the minority caucus, the new minority caucus have just walked out. But that will not stop us from doing what is right for the people of Ghana. We will do what is right. But their conduct exactly reflects the work of a minority caucus. Mr. Speaker, we thank you very much for this ruling. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, yes, Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, unless you have any further information, I would move for the House to be adjourned till Tuesday next week, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Honourable members, at least we need to take the correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We need to take that.
It's a historic moment in this country because the Speaker of Parliament has declared some 3 seats on the majority side as vacant and 1 on the minority as vacant.
Correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the correction of votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 16th October 2024. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7.
Quite a day in the House of Parliament because just gone by, the Speaker has declared 3 seats on the majority side as vacant and 1 on the minority side as vacant. So I mean, we have 4 seats in the House that have been declared as vacant. But that really has a meaning, and Evans Mensah will help us get all of those meanings out of what is happening. Evans, what does this mean?
I mean, this is seismic. And if you're just joining us and wondering why this is a simulcast of, Joy News sitting on Top Story, because in the scheme of things, as far as breaking news goes, in the scheme of journalism, this is top of the tree. This is what every day you wake up as a journalist and you say, for someone like me who've done this for so long, you've seen it all. And you wonder, well, no story is new. This is new. Yeah. With 51 days from the election, the majority party in Parliament is now the minority party. The minority party in Parliament is now the majority. And it's all happening in the context of an election, which is just 51 days away, which we know the stakes are very, very high indeed. This is one additional factor that makes this year's election even more fascinating for those of us who watch elections. In essence, what has happened is that 4 seats held by 3 NPP candidates, and I say candidates because 3 of them are now candidates. 2 of them are independent candidates.
Yes.
1 is a candidate on the ticket of the MPP. Their seats have now been vacated on the back of this ruling by the Speaker of Parliament. The NDC also has 1 seat that also has been, it was a seat that is currently occupied by Peter Yao Kwachiaka.
Memphis Central.
Memphis Central.
And that's been in the news since yesterday as well.
Yesterday. His seat is also vacated. So we have a situation now where, and this is even what makes it even more fascinating. for the 2 seats that were held by, and I say were because until 30 minutes ago, there were seats that the MPP held. I think the members of parliament were NPP members of parliament. 30 minutes on, they are no longer members of parliament. They've become ordinary citizens, parliamentary candidates. For the seat of the Agona West Parliament, the constituency, which is occupied by the former gender minister, Mamle Morrison. That seat, we know, has been in contention for a while. Part of it is at the court. We know that there was a ruling by the court that prevented her from carrying herself out as a member of parliament, so that is being litigated there. And then you have the Suhum seat, which is again occupied by the MPP, that both have been declared vacant. But the interesting seat for me is the Fomina one. Because he is the second deputy speaker of parliament. And he decided, having been voted to parliament as an independent candidate, he is now the parliamentary candidate for the MPP in the constituency. His seat is now vacated, which means, as we speak tonight, that second deputy speaker position is also vacant. Because he's a second deputy speaker of parliament by virtue of his membership.
Sorry, let me cut you now. Let me take you to parliament now, where our parliamentary correspondent, Kwekwa Sante, is standing by with Katie Hammond.
As far as we are concerned, the import of those provisions, the import is not what he has articulated today. These individuals have said that going into the next election, not this parliament, going into the election 20th in December, and going to next parliament, 2025 parliament, they propose to be independent candidates. We think that it's absolutely nothing to do with their standing now as members of the current parliament. We think it is wrong. We filed documents in the Supreme Court for interpretation. The Speaker himself has said that these are matters which call for interpretation. Somehow he's taking the matters of himself, and he's rude that those people have vacated their position, thereby declaring us in the minority, straight away in the minority. So I suspect he's going to ask them to move over, and then they take up government. This is horrendous. It's atrocious. I haven't seen anything like this in my life. But then talking about my life, this particular parliament has been something extraordinary.
I mean, he based this on precedent. He said the Okwe one. He says it's not binding on him, but he goes on to say that.
Yeah, sure. Of course, he could say that. In law, technically, he is right. And there is something he calls a precedent, which, though, is not binding on him. But of course, he says that he could adopt it. That is fine. But we are saying now that Okwe thing, I don't even recall it, that Okwe thing was unlawful.
Yeah, but you didn't say it at the time.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Thinking about it. You see, you didn't say it at the time. We are saying it now. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but that's the point, is that some will say it is hypocritical.
No.
When it is not your benefit, you didn't say about it.
No. Law doesn't talk about hypocrisy. Law talk about the legal position.
But it's also politics. It's about principle. Sometimes it's about principle.
20 years ago, what is the principle?
The principle is that when it benefited you didn't speak out. And this time that is going against you, you are saying Okwe really was wrong.
Last time we had 169 or so members of parliament. How did that be?
Yeah, but you wanted to fight your colleague.
Anyway, the point is that seriously, constitutionally, legally, the speaker is completely out of bounds, completely wrong on this principle. He should have waited, he should have allowed it. Look, there is something about the coordinate jurisdictions of the various arms of government, parliament, and then the Supreme Court, and of course the executive. But when it comes to matters of this nature, I would have thought that he would defer. Any other parliament, any other speaker would defer to the segment of the government which constitutionally is mandated to do this matter, to interpret. It's clear matter of interpretation. In fact, Kolendi, Mr. Kolendi, you recall, in one of those cases before him, you heard what he said. We keep on talking about rules, our rules. Our rules have got their masters, and their masters are in the Supreme Court. The speaker should have allowed the Supreme Court to sit on this matter. I think this matter, because it's so constitutionally important, would deal with this matter in the shortest of time. How long would it have taken Alben to hold our hands and get the
Well, one will reference the anti-LGBTQ bills.
Look at the dislocate. Look at the commotion. Look at the discord is now introduced. Who is going to do government business? The whole country is going to come to a standstill because we are not going to sit there as minority and do anything. They cannot do the work of government. Look at the chaos that your speaker is introducing.
Yeah, but now they are in the majority. You have to cooperate with them.
From day one, the man has been introducing nothing but discord in this parliament. And look at how he's climaxing with. Yes.
Yeah, I was asking that too.
This is my opinion.
Now?
The one that was filed by
well, I've already explained why you went.
Yeah. So honorable. You walked out today. What does it mean for future? What? We're not coming back to the end of the meeting.
The Supreme Court will handle this matter. It has mattered already before the Supreme Court.
You're going to abandon government business and not come to the floor.
Said we are in the minority.
Yes.
Government. According to Speaker Babe, those guys are now in government.
They are majority, not in government. They are majority party.
Is there any other question?
Okay. Well,
we won't sit on that side of take my word. We are not sitting there whilst he has declared them the majority.
So that is the situation here. Honorable Katie Hammond says they are not going to return to the floor of the House. I do not know if that is a position that has been endorsed by his leadership or this is a position he has taken on his own. He says between now and the time the Supreme Court deals with this matter, he is not, and his colleagues are not going to come to Parliament. And because his views are those that the Speaker is completely out of order, the minority cannot do government business. And as we speak, that is the news. The Dr. Keselato Forson already addressing himself as the majority side, the majority leader on the floor, insisting that the Speaker of Parliament has done right by the Constitution. But the NPP MPs really angry about the situation, Brace and Evans, and they say that the Speaker is completely out of order. We've heard from the minority, now minority leader, Alexander Fenyo-Markin, who actually organized the news conference on the floor of Parliament and insisting that this has been completely wrong. That is the situation on the floor now. I need to rush back in. We do not know if there will be a new election for the second deputy speaker today or another time. This will be done. The minority were already moving to have the House adjourned to Tuesday. That means they will not sit tomorrow and Wednesday. So these are some of the issues that are going on now. And I'm just getting an understanding that the House may have been adjourned to next week. So we'll get some confirmation on that. But this is really seismic in terms of the proportion, in terms of what exactly has happened here. Earlier today, we getting an indication that the Speaker of Parliament was going to do something else. He has surprised all of us by declaring all these 4 seats vacant, which means officially the NPP majority, which have had for almost 4 years of a razor-sharp majority, are now in the minority brace.
Very interesting happenings there. And more drama, of course, to come in the House, because then when and how will the election for the second deputy speaker be held? And again, what also happens to the first deputy speaker of Parliament? There is more to come, but the now minority leader, Alexander Fenyo-Markin, has been addressing the press. Watch this.
Service of the writ to do the bidding of the NDC is so clear, but we believe in the law. We, as the majority caucus, immediately are boycotting Parliament until this matter is determined by the Supreme Court. The Speaker has no right to interpret the Constitution, and it is so clear that what he did was to give advantage to the NDC and do the bidding of the NDC. We are not going to go further to litigate. We have a process at the court. We'll follow it up. If the court makes a pronouncement, we'll respect the orders of the court. But because we believe that the issues we have raised are issues for interpretation.
Very interesting happenings in the House. If you just joined us, this is a special coverage of what's happening in Parliament, and we're having a simulcast because this is also live on Joy 99.7 FM. Just gone by, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, has declared 4 seats in the House as vacant.
3 on the side of the MPP, 1 on the side of the NDC.
Yeah.
And so in terms of the numbers in Parliament, as we speak tonight, the NDC has 136 seats in Parliament. The MPP has 135 seats in Parliament. So as we speak tonight, the NDC is a majority side in Parliament. The MPP is a minority side. In fact, at one point in the Speaker's ruling, he asked both sides to switch their seating arrangement because right after he'd finished delivering his speech, the NDC became the majority, and so they had to move in to sit where the MPP used to sit. That is how seismic this is. This is a monumental in terms of its ability to reshape our political landscape quite dramatically.
Sorry, you know, there's a lot happening today. So let me cut in again and take you back to Parliament because the minority, which is now in the majority, their leader, Dr. Kaysala Tuforsin, is addressing the press.
Minority have just moved from minority to majority. In fact, the people of Ghana voted for the NDC majority, but if not certain machinations, this should have happened from day one of this parliament. But you see, finally we are here. We are here to do the business of the people of Ghana. We are here to begin the process to reset our country. Our country has gone through very difficult times. In fact, oftentimes, the people of Ghana have blamed Parliament for not standing up for the people of Ghana. But obviously, you can't blame the NDC minority because we are not having a working majority. Today, we have the working majority. We will begin the process to reset our country. We want to use this opportunity to assure the people of Ghana that the NDC majority will stand for the people of Ghana any day, any time. We will begin the process to move to the majority side and elect a new second deputy speaker on Tuesday. We assure the people of Ghana that we will also take over majority of the committees of parliament. And we will do the work in a way that will benefit the people of Ghana. We have gone through so much as a country, and this cannot continue. Thank the Speaker for standing with the people of Ghana, respecting the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, respecting precedent and the standing order of the people of Ghana, of the Parliament of Ghana. You know, all of this, we thank the people of Ghana by standing for standing for Ghana. Thank you very much.
No question. Honorable Blackwell, I mean, in terms of the practicalities of this, what do you expect to happen in the next few days? If you can
so over the next few days, we are going to engage in consultations within the party. Our party will have to nominate someone to take over a second deputy speaker. So those consultations will begin in earnest. And then we also have to reconfigure the committees of parliament. We'll have to take over majority of the committees. Remember that the committee leadership is done according to a formula on who is in the majority. So the leadership will have to change because there are some committees that is clear who the chair must be and where the chair must come from in terms of who is the majority side. And then in terms of the actual membership of committees, remember that the formula is based on the numbers. So the membership of committees will also have to change. We will now have to become majority in the various committees. So all of these consultations are going to begin in earnest. It's going to be a very busy weekend. We're going to consult with our flag bearer, consult with the functional executive committee of our party to nominate somebody to be second deputy speaker. And then we'll begin the processes of also nominating the new chairs and the new leadership of the various committees. So a lot of work to do, but ultimately we want these few weeks before
Well, also go back to Parliament for more reactions on this seminal ruling by the Speaker there, which has rendered 4 seats in Parliament as vacant, meaning that the minority, which about 30 or 35 minutes ago were in the minority and now in the majority, which is the NDC, because they have 136 seats as we speak, with the then majority, the MPP, which had 138, having now 135 seats in Parliament. Quite interesting development there. Evans, we have Rashid Rahman on the line, but you were making a point. Complete that point and we'll join.
Point, I mean, in terms of the implications of this, part of which we've just heard Okudita Blakwa talk about, there are a few major issues that needs to be resolved. One of them, obviously, is what happens in the second Deputy Speaker's position, because he's one of those people caught in this particular earth-shattering decision as announced by the Speaker. That's the Fomena MP, Andre Siama, who until 30 minutes ago was the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Now, his particular case, if you look at the Constitution, it appears pretty clear-cut, because remember that he got into Parliament as an independent candidate. The Constitution says, Article 97(8) says, you vacate your seat if he, that's a member of Parliament, was elected a member of Parliament as an independent candidate and joins a political party. And so what has he done? He's been in Parliament as an independent candidate. That's how he was elected there. The members of the constituents voted for him as an independent candidate.
But Evans, remember, he was the same person whose ruling that Speaker Michael Quaid did that served as precedent for this ruling.
Yes, in 2020, he says that
in 2020, he was in Parliament on the ticket of the MPP. And then having felt that he was cheated, he went to run as independent. Then the party petitioned the Speaker that, well, this party has run independent. He's over our party now. So his seat was declared vacant. So this is the second time his seat alone is being declared vacant. Quite interesting.
Very interesting indeed. But on the face of it, he should have known that if somebody had raised this matter, he was going to be caught in this particular web, because he got into Parliament as an independent candidate. He's now crossed carpet to the MPP. Because we know that in Fomena, he's now the parliamentary candidate for the MPP. And so for him, it's very clear-cut. And the lawyers who need to chip in here, I've heard a lot of legal opinion on the subject, but on the subject of the other three, you have the 97G, which says that, of course, you vacate your seat if you leave the party of which he was a member at the time of his election to Parliament to join another party. That's the first part. Is that what has happened in this case? No. They haven't left the MPP to join NDC, PNC, so no. But the second part, or seeks to remain in Parliament as an independent member. The three of them, are they seeking to remain in this Parliament as independent members? That is where, I guess, the question is. Because the other side, one side says, yeah, they want...
So the excitement is there. But when he arrives on the ground, the excitement usually reaches a different crescendo. I saw something quite different today. The excitement reached uncontrollable levels today when then this presidential candidate arrived on the ground. Obviously, because of the news that had been given to them by the deputy minority chief whip about what had just happened in Parliament. So the excitement was, I would say, a quadruple of what we've been used to on the campaign trail.
Okay, all right. Grateful to you, Maxwell Agbagba there. We still have Lawyer Paintil on the line. Lawyer, so just in wrapping up with you, you heard Mr. Kwekwa Ansari there. He says it will be difficult for the Supreme Court to make a pronouncement on this. But what's your own expectation of what the Supreme Court can do in this matter?
I fundamentally disagree with him. Because this is an issue bordering on interpretation of the Constitution. And it is only the Supreme Court that has been given the power to interpret the Constitution. Whatever the Speaker has done is, in essence, an attempt to interpret, Article 97, F and G of the Constitution, of that section. That is G and H, rather. And what it did is an interpretation. It's sought to interpret by placing facts and evidence and this. And even the example, the very example that he gave, it does not fit. The example he gave of the MP for Fomena was a person that had been removed by the party. And therefore, what he did at the time was proper. So I fundamentally, because this is a constitutional matter that may come up in the Constitution, I don't even have to emphasize how heavily or how greatly I disagree with him. But it's a question of time. And I believe you keep a record of what he said and what will eventually transpire in the Supreme Court. It can never be the case that when it comes to an interpretation of the Constitution, the Parliament of Ghana is that independent. It is not. I know they have their own working rules and so forth and so on, but in the way that it is interpreted, the way that it is meant to work for them, in the sense that it affects, any portion of the Constitution that we have, the Supreme Court will always wade in. They are the only body they have got the constitutional right to interpret the Constitution, including subsidiary legislation. So I want to make it short on that one.
You do agree with him you do agree with him when he talks about the maintaining the independence of the legislature.
In theory and in practice, the three arms of government are independent of each other. But it's only the Supreme Court that's got the power to interpret any law in this country. No part of Ghana, no body of government, whether the legislature and the executive, can remain free from the Supreme Court's constitutional interpretation. They cannot.
Okay.
So that if a day comes and Parliament decides that, there's this popular thing that we all learned in secondary school, that the only thing that Parliament cannot do is to change a woman into a man and vice versa. That is a white lie. It's subject to the interpretation and the power and authority of the Supreme Court to do that interpretation. So none of them is exclusive. None of them can escape the eye of the Supreme Court when it comes to that. But it's just a question of time. He's giving some particular examples, which are, with due respect, I don't find necessary to go into. But then, this is a clear case where I believe that over the next 1 month, a lot of things are going to happen in the Supreme Court that will lay credence to what I say or what he says or what anybody says. So I would just pray that we all become patient and then see how things roll. Okay. But I'd like my views to be heard on this matter, which is the fact that what the Speaker of Parliament has done today essentially amounts to interpreting this portion of the Constitution based on his own understanding, which, of course, I fundamentally disagree with on a matter of law, the question of interpretation. I believe that his interpretation is wrong from every aspect of the law. In other words, from all the canons of interpretation, he's damn wrong, and I can assert that. But because I'm just an individual like anybody who's entitled to his views, let's leave that for the Supreme Court to come. Okay. And when they speak, you can call me back and we shall remember this discussion and we'll know who was right and who was wrong. Okay. That's all I want to say.
Grateful to you, Lawyer Painter, for speaking to us here. Now, you know that all of this is based on a precedent that people have been citing in 2020 when the then Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, declared the seat of the former MP as vacant. He's been explaining his decision or what influenced that particular decision to my colleague Elton Brobe. Watch this.
The benefit is not his. The law does not stand to his annulment. That's why I talk about husband and a wife.
Meaning he has no locus in
this matter? He has no locus.
Because he doesn't belong to the MPP?
Because he doesn't belong to the party involved. Is it you who should say there's a problem in my house? You say there's a problem, I have a problem with my wife. And I'm saying I have no problem with my wife. What are you talking about? Because see, problems can arise in political parties. But they can talk and they can resolve them. It's not everything that comes within the political party that comes out. There may be trouble somewhere. We can talk about it. So it is the MPP that can trigger
the removal of these individuals from
their own
Parliament.
MP. Yes.
So for to put it in proper context, if Haruna Iddrisu wants something done, he can only do so as it relates to the only NDC member who is also, express his desire to contest an independent.
That is so.
But he cannot force the Speaker to declare the seats belonging to the MPP MPs vacant. This can only be triggered by the MPP as a political party.
By the MPP. And that's why I've given you the background of that legal provision. It is to correct a certain mischief that can be operated against political parties. It's not a matter of debate at all on the floor of the House. In fact, if you bring debate, you create a big problem. Because now you can always use a majority in Parliament to provoke a debate, and then they will start sacking the minority people. Is that not so?
Yes.
Because if you bring it as a debate and as a vote, then if you say aye, and the ayes are more than the nay, then the motion has been carried, and that person must be sacked from Parliament. What are you talking about?
Well, so that was the former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay there. Evans, let's wrap up. But in wrapping up, what should be the takeaways from what has happened in Parliament?
Well, many of us woke up on 2 hours ago, if you may now, knowing that Parliament is settled with the MPP being a majority, NDC being a minority. So if you're just joining us and wondering what has happened, what you see there on your screen, the Speaker has declared the seat of 4 MPs vacant, has significant implications. One is that the MPP is now in a minority. They are the minority party in Parliament, and the NDC is a majority party in Parliament. And the I stance now is 136 for the NDC, 135 for the MPP. That also has implications for the second Deputy Speaker's position, because he's one of those caught in this particular web. And the Siama's position now as the second Deputy Speaker has also been vacated, because he's now no longer a Member of Parliament. He's now the MPP parliamentary candidate for Fomena. And so he's also gone. So next week we expect that the majority side now, the NDC majority side has said, and this is all according to the Speaker's own ruling, and the Speaker is clothed with the authority to deliver the verdict. And so you can disagree with that all you want today. His ruling is law until the Supreme Court overturns it. So we speak based on the outcome, the verdict as delivered by the Speaker. And so his position now is that vacant seat, the vacant second Deputy Speaker position, will now be subject to an election next week. The majority side say they'll do that among themselves next week. For the 3 MPs in question, their fate again rests with the Supreme Court. And we'll see what happens. They themselves also has calls to the Supreme Court to raise the subject up there. But then again, really you have 51 days to go. So why would you go to the Supreme Court to contest it? Because you believe you will win, and that is why you went as an independent candidate. And so again, we'll see. The question then becomes, somebody asked, if they vacated their seat, what happened to the representation
of their constituents?
Because the constituents will need representation. And in every democracy, in fact, our constitution did not anticipate a time when people, citizens, will not have representation in Parliament. And that is why quickly, anytime there is a vacancy, an MP dies or resigns or whatever it is, there is a by-election as quickly as possible. And the Constitution specifies a time frame within which the EC must necessarily organize a by-election. Unfortunately,
we've crossed it.
In this particular case, the Constitution says you cannot hold a by-election when you have 3 months on election. And so we're going to have a situation now that the people of Fomena, the people of Suhum, the people of Amenfi Central, the people of Agona West will not have representation because that can happen. And so we're going to have a vacancy for 4 slots there. Again, it comes back to the point you asked Kwekwa parliamentary correspondent, government business. What will happen to government business? It's called government business because government must take the business to the House to prosecute. And that is how the checks and balances as far as the democracy has been structured. So you have the executive government, you have the legislature that must be independent of the executive, and you go to Parliament with your business, and then they have to deliberate and make sure that, in fact, what you are planning to do is in the national interest. And that's why the architecture has been set up. So now we're going to have a situation where governments, the MPP side, and they form the executive government, say they're not going to take business to the House until the Supreme Court decides on the matter. But they already have pending government business before the House. That business will be prosecuted by the NDC side. And that for me is...
Why will it be prosecuted by the NDC side? Because they will, if they go to Parliament, they will be there to prosecute this agenda, even though they
That's my point. The NDC side is the majority side. And so they will be deciding the fate of government business before it.
Which issues we even take on the floor.
Exactly. I mean, and these are issues that are already before them. And Kweku mentioned a few of them that they'll have to consider. In fact, I've heard whispers already that the first thing they'll do on Tuesday, once they come in the form of quorum, is to repeal the
LI.
Not the LI, the e-levy.
Oh.
To repeal the e-levy.
Interesting.
So that is one thing. Because remember...
But do they have the numbers? They have 136 now. They have 136 now.
136.
And the MPP has 135. 136, is it enough to overturn that?
Well, the point about that is that they will put a vote. You have to start with a voice vote.
Okay.
And those who are in favor of it say aye, those who have know,
and they know will be there.
Even if they didn't have a quorum in the House, somebody must raise the quorum question before it becomes live for the Parliament to consider. Okay. There's nobody on the minority side, NPP side, to do that. And so that is a possibility that could carry.
Okay.
So we are definitely on uncharted territory on this particular subject. And the next few days, we'll see how this plays out. The final decision is in the hands of the Supreme Court. But even they are in a very difficult, tight spot. Not for me, not because they would possibly overturn this or reaffirm the decision that the Speaker had delivered, but it's the timing. The timing is everything. If today the Supreme Court decides to hear this matter expeditiously about the LGBTQ bill, it's going to be a big deal in terms of how people view the Supreme Court. Remember that they are our last line of defense when it comes to the Constitution and our democracy. And so they are in a tight spot. But look, don't forget, this is happening with 51 days on election. It sets the election up to be even more contested because parties now know that your performance has consequences. This has happened because of the outcome we got in 2020. Fundamentally. Right? In the past, even if you knock off 4 MPs, you'll be okay. You'll still be okay. So again, the high stakes in this election, it's re-emphasized by this decision. And that is why I believe it goes way beyond as a decision. It also goes to tell us, sets us up for a very tense next few weeks into the elections.
What a day it has been. A day on which the members of Parliament from Memphis Central, Fomina, Suhum and Agona West went to Parliament or woke up as members of Parliament only for them to be declared as no longer belonging to the House because of their own decisions, which technically has rendered the then majority MPP side now in the minority because they have 135 seats, and the then minority NDC side now the majority because they have 136 seats. Interesting days ahead. Thank you for your company. We're grateful. This is still Joy News. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Have a pleasant evening.